And then there was once a question that we had asked, and this is just, a question I want to ask in relation to some of the cases that you're dealing with, particularly of fraud. We had raised this question to the minister regarding Chidimma Adetshina's mother having obtained her identification in South Africa fraudulently. I just want to get a sense from you, because when we asked the minister this question, in his reply, he had indicated that travel, particularly her ability to have traveled to Nigeria for that contest. The minister said that case was under investigation. Can you just can we get an update on the status of the initial investigation that was mentioned to the portfolio committee, and also what is the current status of the investigation into the mother's travel to Nigeria, and also where are the both of them, Chidimma and her mom, at the current moment? Thank you.
Her name is Kwena. She's an activist. She comes from Action SA. Sorry about that. She broke the story, and if you are not aware of that Chidimma story, you can check at the end of the slides, at the end of the podcast, or you could just pause the podcast and click the asterisk there on top. It will show you the video that we did. The part 2 talks about how she broke the Chidimma story, and how our South African government has not actually failed, but they failed her in not acknowledging her, because she's a whistleblower, as to say, because she investigated the story to end. But now I just want us to speak to someone who can explain what this letter is about. Let me see if we've got airtime to call her. Kwena. She will hopefully explain this thing to us. I'm trying to take the sound away. Kwena, how are you?
I'm good, and you?
Kesha Puman, Mashian Politically Incorrect. We are on the podcast, the recording.
Now.
We are on the podcast recording. Do you give us permission to record further with you on it?
Okay, yes, you may continue to report.
Thank you very much. Kwena, not only me, a lot of South Africans are surprised. Let me start it this way. They are surprised that the South African government, represented by Home Affairs, instead of charging people that they found wrongdoing on their part, they write them emails and letters to tell them, hey, we are cancelling this thing. I'm a layman. You have been involved with this thing for a very long time. Please explain to us, what does it mean? Or you may want to start with the letter that you guys issued or you sent to the family. Anyway, you can start it, and I just want to sit back and hear the story. Thank you.
Good afternoon to you and your viewers and your listenerships. We didn't start the letter. The letter actually was sent by Home Affairs, I think, before they were actually taking certain pieces to say that I was involved, because the person that was informing me of these issues or development was a close family relative of great collaborators to Chidimma's family, saying that Home Affairs had come to summer breaks in Cape Town to actually visit Chidimma's mother to conduct an investigation regarding the identity fraud. And it complains that she had to prove that she's a South African citizen, but they chose not to comply with the Home Affairs. And she changed her numbers the many times when they've called. I don't understand how our government would decide to consult a fugitive, we don't see the same courtesy given to South Africans when they have broken the law. When you are a South African fugitive and the law enforcement somehow wants to engage you. But with foreigners in South Africa, I think, there is this spectrum that the government gives them of emphasizing too much on their rights over what is the law and how much they are breaking that law. So Chidimma left South Africa according to the information that was people on diplomatic passport.
Sorry, Kwena?
Nigerian diplomatic passport at the
Kwena?
embassy. Hello?
You are breaking again. Apologies. Do you have a best spot where you can take the call from?
Or am I not?
Yeah, I think now maybe we
No,
might.
I think I just made a movement, so I'm sorry about it. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah, so Chidimma, before given the Nigerian diplomatic passport, was safe passage by the Nigerian embassy in South Africa. They were already aware of Home Affairs investigation as the type of leniency they were trying to show towards Chidimma as a young woman because of, there is this notion that people want to say Chidimma is also a victim. I don't know how is she a victim because she's the beneficiary of a crime, of identity fraud. But the mother left the country and went to Miss Nigeria University, well knowing that Home Affairs is conducting an investigation over her South African papers. So those are the issues that are there actually.
Okay. I'm very sorry, man. The line is terrible coming from this side. So, as it is, Chidimma, like you said in the past time we were in the studio, she's not in South Africa. The mother is not in South Africa.
No, the mother is not in South Africa. The mother long left after Chidimma took her things and left to participate in Miss Nigeria.
I heard rumors that she's going to live in USA. Is that anything that you know about it?
I have also posted those rumors because it's something that came to me also as part of the information from the close relative that was telling me of this. She told me that the family of Chidimma or the mother, they are not coming back inside South Africa after they leave for Nigeria. And I blame our government for not being vigilant enough or for not enforcing the law, because this is not the first time we are actually approached by such situation. We saw this with Bushiri, where he just left South Africa in style and the government didn't do anything. So even now it's the same issue. They chose not to act. They just, let them leave. And then now we are made to be seen as better people, where else it's not even about bitterness. There is somebody for 22 years who her rights has never actually, being activated as a citizen of this country. So that victim also deserves some sort of protection because of we don't know what we are dealing with at this moment. And that's the reason why she can't even step forward, and that's the reason why we can't even disclose who she is. But for 22 years, she's been unemployed. For 22 years, she can't get grant. For 22 years, she was unable to go to school, as if she's a foreigner or illegal foreigner in South Africa. Where else Chidimma was doing everything that a citizen was allowed to do in South Africa. So it's quite heartbreaking to see even how now, there's notions that Chidimma is a victim. Chidimma can't be a victim.
The identity of the actual victim whose identity was stolen, was the investigation tapping into that, or was it left?
The investigation did tap into it. What I've learned was the assistance of Lerato Ngobeni, the MP from Action SA South Africa, because she's been pursuing this. Yesterday, when she gave the report, was that Home Affairs, because Home Affairs was having a sitting yesterday, that our minister Leon was not the number one. He was not even present in that sitting, and NPA was actually updating everyone of what is happening. This case of Chidimma, somehow it was not on the list. So Action SA had to fight for it to be on the list, and when they fought for it to be on the list, then NPA again was the one that actually said that we will be taking these further steps to ensure that Chidimma and her mother's citizenship is recalled. So it's quite heartbreaking to see that there is not even much of effort from the minister who's supposed to be in charge of this portfolio, because he is actually cloud chasing with being the minister of tourism or economics, for that matter. I don't know what is Leon's work, because he's not doing anything for the country. So the investigation was actually even referred to the NPA. So it is a criminal case, for that matter, and it has to be pursued with criminal charges. So we are just waiting for the NPA to actually even charge Chidimma.
Thank you very much, Kwena. I think for now I'm just going to have to hear what the minister, the deputy minister, and everyone says regarding the story. Once again, thank you very much for taking our call. Let's just hear what those in authority say.
Thank you very much for having me, and I do enjoy your podcast with your listeners.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Bye, Kwena.
Bye.
That was Kwena Moleko. I think at this stage, let me just throw the cats amongst the pages. You guys decide. Here's some more information of what had happened, and maybe let's just hoy a bit of what Kwena has said for those who do not know. Thank you. Machine politically correct.
Good evening to all the viewers at home, and thank you very much for having us today.
What does this decision to cancel the identity and travel documents of Chidimma Adetshina and her mom actually mean? What is their current identity status?
Well, you will remember that we had already indicated that we found fraud in the case of the mother, meaning that the citizenship was obtained fraudulently. Now, in South Africa, as we've been saying before, that the child follows the status of the parent. We then had to move over and then write to Chidimma herself to say that she must make representations, because the issue of the mother was done and dusted. We concluded the investigations, were able to pick up prima facie evidence of fraud. After that, we then referred the file to the Hawks, who are now in high heels looking for her so that they could start the process of prosecution. And then we also wrote to her to say she must make representations, because if her mother's identity was obtained illegally, it means it brings her own citizenship into question. The closing date was, I think, yesterday, when we said she must respond. She has not responded, and as such, even with her, we will now start the process of throwing back the citizenship. And what does that mean? It means that the person no longer becomes a South African citizen, is removed from the database of South Africans, and that means that the person stops being a South African citizen, because in any way, some of those documents will have been obtained illegally. But we had the right to make sure that we follow the law up until the T. Yes.
So you believe that her mom, from what I understood earlier, her mom traveled to Nigeria with the daughter. Were you able to find a trace of the passport that she's been using to come to South Africa from Mozambique, and also on these movements to Nigeria as well? I mean, are you looking at possible multiple passports here that she has?
Yes, we're definitely looking at multiple passports that the person will possess, because if she was traveling on a South African passport will be able to pick her up, which will have also been issued under the cloud, as I've indicated, under the citizenship that was only obtained. So we are dealing with the situation where we have a person moving in and out using multiple access documents, which will have been obtained probably from Mozambique, because we have been able to establish that she's actually a Mozambican citizen, but we will not know how she actually arrived to get there. All that we know is that the matter is now with the Hawks, and we are looking for her so that she can answer before the law on the criminality that was committed.
Okay, so this is just one case, but there are many, many, many other cases out there of identity theft. I saw that your multidisciplinary task team has found massive fraud and corruption, particularly by foreign nationals attempting to stay in the country. How extensive is the fraud, and which permits did this largely affect?
Well, let me tell you, sometime about 2-3 years ago, in the 6th administration, we had identified about 700,000 IDs that would have been in possession of some people who will have obtained them in an illegal manner. We actually wrote to those people. Now we're looking at a number of about more than 600,000. These are people who obtained their identity when our systems were still weak in the 90s. They were able to obtain green barcoded IDs. When we moved into the smart card in 2013, we then discovered that there were cases of duplicate. Some of these people had taken loans with banks and so on. We then had the responsibility of clamping down on them. We did what is called blocking of those IDs. So that should tell you the picture of what we are dealing with. We also wrote to all those more than 600,000 people to come and make representations. Most of them have not made recommendations, made representations. So as such, we're going to be taking away those identity documents.
Yeah.
At the core of everything has been the paper records and the fact that the green barcoded ID was easy to defraud. When we moved to the smart card, it became difficult. And that is why now we are clamping down. We want to stop the green barcoded ID from being issued, which means in the near future we'll no longer be issuing them, we'll only issue smart ID cards.
Yeah.
But the 600,000 plus, we're clamping down on them as well.
Sure, that's over 500,000. That's quite shocking. So, some of the fraudulent applications were processed at night or over weekends. How was this particular activity not picked up as irregular?
Well, this, as I've indicated, most of these things were happening a long time ago when we're not having the systems that we have now. When we got in as a in the sixth administration, we identified that there were a lot of gaps in the system. That is why we then tasked the team led by Lubisi to look into the system, which then resulted into the multidisciplinary team that was presenting today. They've actually done very good work because we wanted them to say, this is where your systems are weak, this is where you need to improve. And some of these things will then be done after hours. We then had to make sure that we clock the system to lock it down so that it does not process operations after hours. But you must remember, these things takes collaboration. It has to be a corrupt official. It has to be a citizen that is willing to give away their citizenship, more so in the case of photo swaps, and then it will be a foreign national who is willing to buy. But we are clamping down of them. We already have more than 13 arrests. Almost every month we are arresting some people on this, which means that we are getting closer to the situation and we are correcting whatever will have gone wrong.
Yeah, and it's also a little too late. And I know it's better late than never, Deputy Minister, but you didn't have to wait for the 6th administration to start a process like this. The delay in actually getting your systems work has opened a wider door. Now we're sitting with over almost 500,000, in fact, of people out there who are sitting with IDs that they have obtained irregularly and fraudulently.
You must remember, Clement, that as you try and improve your systems, the thugs and criminals are not sitting back and just waiting for you and watching you. They are actually planning to try and be a step ahead. So these transgressions are not only with regard to the 6th administration. We are talking about paper records. We are talking about a long time ago, around 1994. South Africa had its infants of democracy. This is how this accumulation of 600,000 actually came into being. What is good is that we were able to pick it up through the improvement of our systems. Even now, we are talking about moving by building a digital home affairs, which will disallow the use of papers, which will computerize everything. That will make even our systems much more better, so that we always stay a curve ahead of our detractors who will want to fraud our documents.
Yeah, I suppose what I'm saying is that process you're outlining now should have started much, much earlier. Nothing stopped government from starting earlier. By the fourth administration, this was already a crisis.
Well, probably it is an issue of the systems and the capacity that was there and the technology that was available at that particular time. But we are dealing with the matter now. Those who did wrong will face the music. We are effecting arrest as we speak.
And the woman that I was speaking to, she said to me, no, the guy actually saved the family because of they were at the brink of being broke. King Safwa, when he came into Chidimma's life,
took over the family.
Yeah, and then he took care of the family. You understand? So, and the fact that he's also Nigerian and he is also involved in other shady businesses. You understand? So that's now I was like, okay, let me now try to understand this. Chidimma one never used the flag of South Africa. She never even used to know. Like she doesn't even literally. Also, like or maybe Swana or anything, but you'll be surprised there is white people that can, speak our languages a bit and stuff like that. So literally, this person is from Soweto. She can't speak any native language. She has never recognized herself as a native South African. So immediately once she started to see that people are on her social media, then she started to delete also. And such another really. Again, have taken everything. So the story of Chidimma now was like to prove how is she South African? Was she born here? What year? So now you're like, okay, unfortunately I'm limited to do certain things because of I wanted to find the records of Bara where they claim that Chidimma was born. Because this government will show you flames. Will show you flames for some weird reason. And then nothing made sense at the time. So now I was like, okay, no, let me build, a timeline for this girl. And let's see what fits, what do I gather. And like I said to you, when you throw people out there and then somebody was like, I went to school with this one. Chidimma once said, I went to school with her, blah, 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 blah. Okay, and then I start to see now, there's this high school, they even put Chidimma's face on Facebook. And then somebody screenshots like, Kwena, did you see this? And I'm like, okay, which means she went to the school. Then now I go look for information, because I know other people in Cape Town. And then still something was still not adding up. Okay, she went to school there, but was she really non-existent on school grounds? You understand? And then why are people so afraid to come forth and give information about this lady and stuff like that? So that's when it became now like a full investigation of this whole triggery part of it. So then you start to see, okay, Chidimma's father came here 2010. How old is Chidimma? You understand? Let's just start there. If 2010, and then they got married, I think 2013. You understand? So 2013, when they got married, do your math. You see where I'm saying this whole puzzle. Even myself, there is still a lot of things that are still missing within the Chidimma era for me to just let the story go or let the whole thing go, because of there's just so many things. If they got married in 2013, then how old Chidimma supposed to be? Do you understand?
But when you were digging this, you understood that a lot of people will get fired on this. If the minister proceeds with this, a lot of people are going to get fired, and a lot of people are going to, this is going to expose.
I think it's about time, South Africans expose the identity fraud that is happening inside this country, and the people that are in Home Affairs that are enabling corruption, because it's so much injustice that today there is a 23-year-old woman, and somehow I believe that girl is silent, like they've silenced her with money or maybe threats that she mustn't come to the public and make herself known.
This story is so big, and the reason I keep saying that it has for the first time proven South Africans that they are correct They are not Afrophobe, they are not xenophobe.
Yes, we are not.